Hello? 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 Hi, Steve. This is Dennis Maluza. Who's this? Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello,
Hey, this is Steve. Who's this?
this is Dennis Maluzzo.
Yeah, I thought it was Dennis. Sounded like you. Let me text Rich here.
We're not doing WebEx anymore, just call in and in person.
I guess. How have you been, Dennis?
Good. So is it just you and I that have called in?
I guess so.
This is strange.
Hello,
Yeah.
Steve, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay,
Dennis
great.
Maluzzo's here, too.
Okay. So, just give us a second. We haven't officially started.
Okay.
Steve, this is my first time calling in. What's the protocol? To mute?
Well, it's the same as a regular meeting, Dennis. You would hold any comments or questions till the end.
Correct. I mean, do I have to mute myself?
Well,
Dennis, it helps. Sometimes
if you can, or
you
just
get
be
some
quiet.
feedback.
That's all.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Right. If it gets too loud and unruly, then I might mute all the lines, but then Steve can't participate.
Okay, gotcha.
So
It'll be a short meeting.
I'm not touching that. He said it. Okay. So this is officially starting the meeting for the town of Oline. This is Rich Prendergast, the chairman of the WPCA. It's June 14th, about 7:33. In the room, we have Dimitri Tolfinsky, Corey Bullock, Frank Chan, myself, Rich Prendergast, Andrea Lombard, and Rob McCarthy. On the line, we have Steve Tsunami. We're expecting Randy Nixon, thank you, also online. But we apparently he hasn't dialed in yet. So I'm going to go through the agenda so everyone knows kind of what's coming. We're going to go through approval of minutes. We're going to do a budget updates. We're going to have a Soundview Sewer Miscellaneous Area B status of East Lyme IMA, additional funding updates, and then we're going to spend most of our time on the proposed sewer ordinance. Then we'll have a discussion about correspondence, any new business, public comment, and adjournment. So with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from May 10th.
I'll make a motion.
So Dimitri made a motion.
I second.
Frank Chan seconded. Open discussion, changes, edits. I'm not hearing any, so I'm going to call for a vote. And because of hybrid, what we have to do is we'll name the people inside. We'll do the vote for the people in person, and then I'll do a roll call of the people online, WPCA members. So all those in favor of approving the minutes from May 10th, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Steve Tsunami, do you approve the minutes?
Aye.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's unanimous. Moving on to the next item.
Rich, you want to turn your microphone on? Thank you.
Sorry about that. So the next thing is Steve Tsunami will give us a budget update and any new invoices. Steve, do you want to give us a budget update?
Sure. So there hasn't been any action since the last meeting, as far as I'm aware, of any new invoices that we've incurred.
I also can concur there's been no new invoices.
Right. I will send out to Jennifer tomorrow the I thought we were going to do like a Zoom where I could present it, but obviously I can't. So I'll just send it in, and I just asked that the monthly reconciliation be included in the minutes as an addendum.
Okay. So let me explain something. I was advised through the selectman's assistants that the preferred method is in person. The second preferred method is hybrid of in-person and conference call. And it's not preferred to have a video with in-person as well. I think that there's an expense tied to that. If we feel strongly that we need to do remotes with the video, we could probably petition the selectman to support us. I'm sure he would. But that's why we're doing it the way we're doing it, is we're advised to.
Okay. I mean, I don't, it doesn't matter to me whether I see everyone or not. I was just saying that on a WebEx I can actually present the document, but I can't right now. But I'd like it included as an addendum.
Very
it's
good.
just a monthly reconciliation.
Very good. So we're going to move on to the next agenda item, the status of the East Line IMA. I got encouraging feedback where I was talking to Ben North of East Line. He's now the public contact with the East Line's utilities department. We were working with another individual, and I guess Ben has been promoted to this job. He promised to have the last piece of information we need, which is the price tag for the East Line IMA. He promised that when he said was next week, which was 2 weeks ago. And he hasn't returned my call since then. And I don't think you should read into this. In the past, he's actually gone on vacation, and he's also been busy. So there's all indication that the East Line IMA will go forward. From a wording point of view, we've already confirmed, and I'm kind of repeating myself, that the East Line legal department has said that the words are fine. So the idea is we get the price tag, we agree it, we then circulate it where we, the WPCA, make a recommendation to the Selectman's office, and we bring it to the private beach associations that are also a party, and everyone agrees, hopefully, and there's one of the lawyers ends up hosting a signing time where people go in that are supposed to sign the agreement. Does anyone have any WPCA members have any questions about this agreement?
Rich, I don't necessarily have a question about the agreement. I just want a clarification. Once this agreement is signed and approved by everyone, that will release funding from the Clean Water Act or the Clean Water Funds. Is that true?
Yes. I mean, there's a couple steps. We have to then notify DEEP, and then we have to do what's called a closing, and we have estimates already in place to do the design portion. So they've already looked at those estimates and have said that they seem to be acceptable. So we formally request it. They would then pay us, and we turn around and pay the design engineering firm. So there's some formalities we have to go through, but generally, yes.
But it makes the funds available. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions about this? Okay, next agenda item, status of additional funding and grant applications. So we submitted one application through multiple ways for a total amount of $14 million on this combined project for the Town of Old Lyme and the private beach associations, with the total cost of, I think, $34 million on the project books. We submitted it to Joe Courtney's office, and Joe Courtney's office selected 15 projects in their district. Ours was not one of them, unfortunately. Very disappointed. However, we also submitted through Christopher Murphy's office, and we're told that that is still in consideration in Christopher Murphy's office. We hoped to drive an end to this, get an answer, don't get an answer, shortly, because as we know, time is money, and we're holding up the project. Should we get this amount of money, it would make it affordable and economically feasible to do this project. We also met with the Connecticut's Department of Revenue Commissioner, Mark Bowden, and two of his aides, and I think two of his, I'll call them lobbyists, I'm not sure that's a technical term, and we showed him the project area, and he ran through some possible fundings. We had thought that there was a possibility for the Department of Environmental and Energy Protection to increase our grant funding from 25% to 49%. If we got that, that would make it economically feasible. Mark explained to us that that's not going to happen. The money that's set aside to increase that grant has already been spent, already been earmarked. There's no chance. Don't even bother trying. He was very clear on that, very disappointed. But he also gave us a list of 300 other potential options. Of that, we are looking at maybe 5 or 6 or 7 items to apply for. And that's the bulk of the funding. We are coordinating our efforts through the private beach associations in the First Selectman's office to come up with a way to apply for these funds. But it's still early for us to determine which ones to apply for. And like I said, we're still working on the fund that we've already applied through for this, I guess, STAG grant. We also applied for the American Rescue Plan funds through the town. The town was earmarked, I guess, a bit over $2 million, and we put in for a small amount of money. And there's a meeting next week, I believe, for an update on that, and there's a committee that is evaluating all the requests, and there's a number of entities within Old Lyme that have requested money. That amount of money is important for us, and it helps us a lot, but it doesn't make the project overall economically feasible. It would be nice if it did, but it doesn't. Does anyone have any questions? Any WPCA members have any questions so far about this? I'm not seeing anybody, so I'm going to move on. This next item is the review of the proposed sewer ordinance of public comments. I would like to thank Frank for doing the editing, putting in the proper words that address the public comments. In some ways, some of the public comments were a complaint, some of them were an actual good idea, some of them were something that we need to research. I also like to thank Dimitri for doing some research in the International Plumbing Code. Thank you for that, Dimitri.
You're welcome.
It was an eye-opener, and it changes kind of a big thing. And so what I'd like to do is I'll pull up the parts that were edited, and I'll read those sections. And what I hope that I would get is agreement from this WPCA committee to take this document. If there's edits, we edit them. But agree to send it off to our legal review and note that the legal's already reviewed this, so technically there shouldn't be a lot of changes, but in our experience, and Frank and I were talking about this, there's always changes. After that process, it would then go to we would recommend it to the First Selectman's office for scheduling a meeting and approving it. So we could, if we find that the edits that we've made, and the WPCA members were given this document ahead of time, but if we've made the edits there's nothing significant, we might be able to come up with a motion that says send to legal, if no problems, send to the Selectman's office. So let me pull up the file so I can read through the sections. I just realized maybe, did you want to read through the edits, Frank?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I don't want to take any of your thunder,
I'm leaving my mask on.
Learn to delegate,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you delegated to me before.
I did. I took it back. I should have kept it that way. Okay. So I'm just going to go through the parts that were edited. And that way we have a discussion if anyone disagrees on a section of it. So introduction, nothing going in. Definitions, no change, except for definitions section 2.3. We changed the word building sewer lateral to define the difference between who owns what, from the parts that is owned by the resident in their yard and the part that goes into the street. I'll read the whole thing here. The building drains means that part of the lowest horizontal piping of a building's plumbing which receives a discharge from soil, waste, and other sanitary drainage pipes inside the walls of a building and conveys it to the building sewer lateral. That lateral part is what we added, beginning 30 inches outside the interface of the building wall. So I'm just going to read that second half of that sentence again. And other sanitary drainage pipes inside the walls of the building conveys it to the building sewer lateral, beginning 30 inches outside the interface of the building wall. Any questions, concerns, comments from WPCA members? I'm not hearing any. And Steve, as always, I'm thinking that you're going to speak up if you have something, right? You're probably on mute. I'm going to go to section 2.4. Here we add...
Yes, sir. I would probably do that.
Okay, thank you. We added the words connecting point at for municipal sewer in the drain, and we deleted the or other place of disposal. The idea of this is to narrow and focus on what we wanted to talk about. So this whole reads 2.4, building sewer lateral means the extension from the building drain to the connection point at the municipal sewer drain, semicolon. It may also be called the house connection. Individual property owner is responsible for the lateral up to the connection to the sewer. Any questions about that?
Yeah. Why is the word drain added?
Frank? The word drain was, connection point at the municipal sewer drain.
Well, that's the outlet. That's the gravity drain part of the piping. So I use the drain just to make sure it doesn't confuse with the sewer main. Of course, when it's going to connect to the sewer.
There's two drains in that sentence.
Oh.
So, maybe
okay.
It's a redundant word. So I'll read the sentence again.
It is connecting at the sewer main, though, isn't it?
At the sewer, municipal sewer. So it's connected to the municipal sewer. So it means extension from the building drain to the connecting point at the municipal sewer drain. And maybe you're proposing that we go means of extension from the building drain to the connecting point at the municipal sewer.
I think so. Unless drain has some significance, but I think it's not needed.
Well, have we already defined up above that the sewer, I mean, it really should be sewer lateral, not sewer main. It's the sewer lateral coming out.
We did mention that.
This is defining the sewer lateral.
Right.
It's the connection point of the lateral.
Connection point of the lateral should be at the property limit.
So look at the thing. It says 2.4 building sewer lateral. This is the definition. It means an extension from the building drain to the connecting point at the municipal sewer. We have a drain, and it used to say or other place of disposal, and we don't want other place of disposal.
It should say sewer main.
Sewer main?
Connection point.
No, it shouldn't.
No.
It depends on how you define sewer main.
Well, the lateral.
We've decided that the lateral, the portion, the building lateral that's owned by the person is owned to their property limit.
Well, what is so we have the building sewer lateral definition is. I think it's pretty cut and dry.
No, so actually, Steve, hopefully you have the document available to you, but building drain was the one that's prior to it that we define, and building drain reads as something about starting the 30 inches outside the wall.
Could you use the microphone?
Yeah, I do. I was stuck in a location because I had to charge my phone.
Which conveys it.
What page is that on?
So it's page 2.
I see it.
So what Rob is saying is we define the building drain in 2.3, and 2.4 we're doing building sewer lateral. And I don't know, Corey, you were going to say something about
the lateral is connected to the main.
Drain pipe.
So you have a house and you have a pipe between the house. That's considered the lateral.
And
then
the
that's
lateral
connected to the main.
The main.
So this is saying building sewer lateral means an extension from the building drain to the connection point at the municipal sewer. To me, that says it.
Sewer main.
It's that pipe between the two.
Yep, correct.
All right. So, excuse me. Then I think we haven't fully defined building drain.
Well, we can go back to building drain.
Do you remember? Unless this is somewhere else. Do you remember where we discussed having the person responsible for their lateral from their property line into their house, and that the WPCA's is that defined somewhere else in here?
Well, that is, but it's using terms like building drain and building sewer lateral. So we're saying the building sewer lateral, but to the point of the edge of their property. So we haven't got to that edit yet. So there's a pipe that leaves the private property and goes into the public road, and that part what's that word for? It's not the sewer main, but it's a connection.
No, it's a lateral. That is the lateral. I mean, the whole thing is a lateral, but if you want to define a building sewer drain, you could define it from 30 inch. I don't know why it's 30 inches outside the interface of the building wall. I guess because code says that's not actually whatever. I don't really care about the 30 inches outside the interface of the building wall. I do care about where their responsibility for the building drain ends, and it's at the property line.
If I may, under the definition for building sewer lateral, the final sentence actually still says the individual property owner is responsible for the lateral up to the connection to the sewer. And that
right.
We wanted that to not be the case and have their responsibility end at the property line.
Correct.
If I say something. Construction sewer line will bring to every property that's going to be connected to the sewer line on a curb line from the main line to the property curb. So this will be like a connection.
A connection.
Connection.
But is there something that is commonly referred to as that?
This is a,
What?
That's called
The lateral. So if you define building drain, as to the property limit, then the building sewer lateral is from the main to the property limit. So you're going from two different directions. You go from the sewer main to the property limit. That's the sewer lateral. If you want to have a building drain, which you could go from the house to the property limit, that's the connection point, and that's where it's defined.
Just the property, it's just the ownership.
Right, and then the sentence that says the individual property owner that's on 2.4 should actually go up to 2.3. So it says that the individual property owner is responsible for not the lateral, but the building drain.
Hold on 1 second, I'm getting graphics.
The house, this is the lateral.
Yeah.
Now, this is the curb, and this is the connection of the lateral part, the part of the lateral that goes to the main pipe.
Okay.
So the responsibility ended here.
Okay, so the graphic that Corey defined, and Corey has some experience with this. That's one of the reasons why he's on this committee. I'll graphically explain it. The house, then there's a pipe in the private property to the street, and then there's from the street to the main. Those are the components that we're talking about. It sounds like, and if I heard, Rob, what you're saying, I think you're saying is, if we define the building drain as from the house on the private property to the end of the property, it's called the building drain, and the lateral will be from the private property interface to the forced main, or the main. I'm getting some people nodding.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And then Rob is correct. Then the individual property owner is responsible for not the lateral, but the building drain up to the connection to the lateral. And that should go in 2.3 because the building sewer lateral is all WPCA. The building drain is all of the individual owner. So if you want to define who's responsible for what, you would put the individual property owner is responsible for the building drain up to the connection of the sewer lateral. And then you have both things defined.
So this 30 inches thing is also still an issue, but let's put that aside for the moment. So at section 2.3, building drain, I'm going to read, what I did is I added the last sentence, and I'll read the whole thing, but I said individual property owner is responsible for the building drain up to the edge of private property. So I'll read the whole thing now.
Yeah.
2.3 building drain means the part of the lowest horizontal piping of a building plumbing which receives a discharge from soil, waste, and other sanitary drainage pipes inside the walls of the building and conveys it to the building sewer lateral, beginning 30 inches outside the interface of the building wall. The individual property owner is responsible for the building drain up to the edge of the private property. So I think that, I don't know about the 30 inches thing.
The 30 inches is a license issue. As a P1 license.
Right, it's a license issue.
Exterior plumbing. As a exterior plumbing license holder, P7, you can do exterior plumbing. So they have to come up with this line on who does what. Typically, it's
Well,
5
we shouldn't.
building.
So why is that?
Yeah, we shouldn't be in the definition. The lateral is from the edge of the building to the property limit.
Well, remember, Steve, we're not using lateral for that. We're using building drain.
I'm sorry. all right, so it should be from the edge, the building drain should be, we should not have beginning 30 inches outside the interface of the building wall, because Corey's right, it's a license issue, and it's usually 5 feet, not 30 inches, unless they changed it. But he's right, it's a licensing issue, but for our purposes, the building drain starts from the out.
Okay, all right. So I'm
Right.
okay with deleting that.
Yes, so that should be removed.
Just take the 30 inches out, right?
Right at the cup.
Well, it says, I'm going to read part of it. So the sanitary drain pipes outside the walls of the building and conveys to the building sewer lateral beginning 30 inches outside the interface of the wall, interface of the building wall. We could just delete that whole sentence, if you ask me. The beginning 30 inches outside the interface of the building wall. Because everything on private property is the responsibility of the owner.
I agree.
So, the thought that this is going to be easy, I think, is disappeared, and that's okay. This is, we try to do as much as we could efficiently ahead of time, and, well, we didn't get there. So, but we're not technically allowed to make decisions outside the committee, so that's why we're spending the time here. So I'm going to read 2.3 again. The building drain means part of the lowest horizontal piping of a building's plumbing which receives a discharge from soil, waste, and other sanitary drainage pipes inside the walls of the building and conveys it to the building sewer lateral, period. Individual property owner is responsible for the building drain up to the edge of private property. I think that's pretty clear. Okay, now, section 2.4. Building sewer lateral means an extension from the building drain to the connecting point at the municipal sewer drain.
Lateral.
Main.
Lateral.
No main.
Lateral.
Steve, you can't have lateral as a definition of lateral. That's the issue. So,
Okay, so sewer main, that's correct.
yeah. No, it's okay. I could see. So I'm going to read the revised thing now where it says 2.4, building sewer lateral means the extension from building drain to the connecting point at the municipal sewer main.
Period.
And then it's period. It says it may also be called the house connection. That now seems to me.
That could be, that should be removed.
I think we should.
That should be it.
Yeah, I'm just going to stop it at the period. Okay.
Sewer main, period.
Right. Okay. Section.
One sausage done.
Well, Frank just said, one sausage done. I think that's funny. If someone that does this for a living, that's accurate. So I'm going through all the ones and I'm looking for the edits. I'm down in section 3 now, section 3.1, use of public sewers. And we added in the middle of this, I'm going to say that, then I'll read the whole thing. Any property having access to a municipal sewer shall be subject to the benefit assessment, even if it is not connected to the municipal sewer, since it receives the benefit of this utility. Connecting fee will be charged when such property is connected to the municipal sewer. So now I'm going to read the whole thing from the beginning. The owners, so section 3.1, owners of all houses and other buildings used for human occupancy, employment, recreation, and other purposes situated within the town's designated sewer district and abutting on any street, alley, or right-of-way in which there is now located or may in the future be located a public sanitary sewer within the town's designated sewer district may, at reasonable discretion of the town of Old Lyme, WPCA, may, wait a minute, I'll have to read that again, I'm sorry. start back a bit, in which there is now located or may in the future be located a public sanitary sewer within the town's designated sewer district may, at reasonable discretion of the town of Oline WPCA, may require any such house or building be connected to the WPCA sewerage system, and that the connection shall be made at the sole expense of its owners in accordance with the provisions of this ordinance. Any property having access to the municipal sewer shall be subject to the benefit assessment, even if it is not connected to the municipal sewer, since it receives the benefit of this utility. Connecting fee will be charged when such property is connected to the municipal sewer. The owner is required to respond in writing within 90 days after the date of the official notice of his or her intentions to comply. I think I have found one issue, but does anyone have any questions about that?
Pretty wordy.
Yeah, it's wordy. I think there's an extra may, but it doesn't have to be.
Sole expense of the owner, you could just say owner's expense.
So it says at reasonable, so within the town's designated sewer district may, at reasonable discretion of the town of Oline WPCA, may require any such house or building. I think there's two mays.
You can change to will require.
Shall.
Well, so may and shall are very important words in this thing. Shall is requirement, may is optional.
What do you want to say here?
So I think that
You want to
second.
keep it may.
No, I think we want to say shall. Because we're saying at reasonable discretion of the town of Oline WPCA shall require any such house or building be connected to the WPCA sewer system, and that the connection shall be made at the sole expense of its owner or provisions. So I think there's too many mays in this long run-on sentence. But I think shall should be one of them. Do you want me to read it again? Section 3.1. The owners of all houses or other buildings used for human occupancy, employment, recreation, and other purposes situated within the town district, sewer district, and abutting on any street, alley, or right-of-way in which there is now located or may in the future be located a public sanitary sewer within the town's designated sewer district may, at reasonable discretion of the town of Oline WPCA, shall require any such house or building be connected to the WPCA's sewage system, and that the connection shall be made at the sole expense of its owners in accordance with the provisions of this ordinance.
Better.
What was that?
That's better.
I think it works. It's coming clear to me that we're going to make these edits, and we're not going to be done with this. We're going to have to look at it again. So maybe that makes it easier to do this, where then we now send it to legal, and then we have legal's edits and our edits, and we do a run through again. I'm not asking for a motion on this. I'm just looking for feedback. So, and I haven't heard anyone say no. So.
I agree.
Anyone have a comment?
So if I'm reading this correctly, is this any building or potential building?
I believe it says
Correct.
owners of all houses or other buildings in a sewer district. I mean, yeah. But it's conditional. That's, a building used for toilets. Okay.
Right. I guess I have one comment.
Sure. It's okay, Rob. You can make comments.
It's going to be painful.
All right.
So, the first May says, there's this statement about the sewer or a house abutting any street, alley, or right-of-way in which there is now located or may in the future be located a public sanitary sewer. Why is that in there? May be located when it goes on to talk about making people connect and all kinds of stuff. If there's not a sewer, we're not making anybody connect.
I think that's the scenario when when you're starting the project and you have the street done and then the next street done. That's
Is that leaving you room for extension?
yeah.
My point is that it's saying or may in the future be located, but I don't know.
So you're saying maybe if there's no sewer there, sewer district area, a house can only connect if there's a there.
Yeah.
So.
And this is all about making people connect. And if there's no sewer there, you're not really doing anything.
You got a point.
Well, I might not, I'm trying to understand, there are some building lots there. Is this including them, that they have the option?
Buildable lots in the area have the right to connect to the sewer system. This is not economic development, but if they're buildable now, and they're still, because they're grandfathered in, and there's like a handful, they would be connecting if they wanted to. But sewer. So
take it or leave it.
If you want to send edits later or something, what? Okay.
Rich,
so
maybe get rid of the word now.
Can you help me out with that now?
If you say, and abutting on any street, alley, or right-of-way in which there is located, and get rid of the now, and or may in the future be.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit.
So
in which there is located a sewer.
So I think what is the town designated sewer districts and abutting on any street, alley, or right-of-way in which there is located
a public sanitary sewer.
Okay, hang on 1 second. Oh, sugar. I don't need sugar. Okay, so I'm going to read back what I think Steve wanted me to edit. Section 3.1, the owners of all houses or buildings used for human occupancy, employment, recreation, and for the purposes situated within the town's designated sewer district, abutting any street, alley, right-of-way in which there is located a public sanitary sewer within the town's designated sewer district. So far, so good? I think that's a little better. So then it goes, within the town's designated sewer district may, at reasonable discretion of the town of Lyme, WPCA, shall, that's the thing, that may and shall's got to be fixed.
I would get rid of the may also after district.
Yes.
Entirely. And then you're right, then change shall. Okay. May to shall after WPCA.
So I'm going to go one more time from the top. Thanks for your patience, everybody. 3.1. The owners of all houses and other buildings used for human occupancy, employment, recreation, and other purposes situated in the town's designated sewer district and abutting on any street, alley, or right-of-way in which there is located a public sanitary sewer within the town's designated sewer district at reasonable discretion of the Town of Milan WPCA, shall require any such house or building be connected to the WPCA's sewage system, and that the connection shall be made at the sole expense of the owner of the accord in accordance with the provision of this ordinance. Any property having access to municipal sewer shall be subject to the benefit assessment, even if it is not connected to the municipal sewer, since it receives the benefit of this utility. Connecting fee will be charged when such property is connected to the municipal sewer. The owner is required to respond in writing within 90 days of the date of official notice of his or her intentions to comply.
I would take out at the owner's sole expense and just put at the owner's expense in accordance with the provision.
Why would you take out at the owner's sole expense?
Because what happens if there is some grant money that comes along or something? I mean, it's in the provision of the ordinance, so it will already be defined. It will be
So you're saying at the owner's expense?
You could just say at the owner's expense in accordance with the provision of the ordinance.
So the sentence would say the building be connected to the WPCA sewage system, and that the connection shall be made at the owner's expense in accordance with the provision of this ordinance.
Yeah. That's enough. We can get rid of some words.
Any objection? I think it says the same thing.
Yes, that's the thing.
We gotta make this short. What section is that? One.
That's section 3.1 at the bottom,
Yeah.
middle. Hang on, we're researching. Did you have a?
I think I have a different version.
I think we have different versions.
I thought the agenda item planning meeting should have. Is there a comment? I mean, I can change this.
Well, I think, you know, if there's, I don't know, it's fine the way it is. It's fine the way Andrea says. If there's grant money, the grant money, there wouldn't be grant money to us to hook up private people. So if there's grant money for private people to hook up, it's his money. They can use it any way they want, I guess. I mean, sole expense of the owner, it doesn't matter. We're not going to be affected by it. I mean, it's at the expense of the owner. So, I mean, at the expense of the owner, in accordance with the provision in this ordinance, is certainly fine.
We're on page 6 of 17, so maybe this is not
Yeah, I mean, urgent. Yeah, but taking out the word "soul" doesn't really. I think
Doesn't matter. Just take it out.
Yeah.
You want to take out the word "soul"? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it now says WPCA sewage system, and that the connection shall be made at the expense in accordance with the provision of the ordinance.
Sure.
I'm moving forward. Hope this isn't too painful. Section 4.0, the word laterals was added to the title. It says building sewer laterals and connections.
Do you think that should read building sewer drains and laterals and connections?
I don't know. I don't think it hurts.
Yeah, it wasn't. I was looking at that.
I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I'm just saying you described what a building drain is, what a sewer lateral is.
Right. From our revision to the definitions, it may just be building drain and connections, and that the sewer laterals isn't really part of this section.
Well,
right.
It used to say building sewers and connections. Now it says building sewer laterals and connections.
Yeah, they revised that definition.
Right, but we've defined the lateral as between the building drain and our main. And I don't even know if that's applicable here anymore.
Well, the way this reads, if you read it as a sewer lateral, then you go to 4.1. It's in the code. It's asking you not to touch the lateral as a homeowner. So if you include drain, now you're giving them permission as a homeowner to touch the lateral.
Well, I think you don't want them to touch the public.
Correct, which is the lateral.
So this part is lateral.
So the lateral is the public, so lateral should not be in there. No,
Lateral should be there. Right, drain should not be there.
Drain should not be there.
Then you're telling them that, well, if they can touch the drain, then they can touch the lateral.
Right. They can touch the drain, but they can't touch the lateral.
Correct.
They can't destroy it. That's what this section is about. Does anyone disagree?
I mean, just 4.1.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's
The rest is
you talk about I think you talk about both laterals and drains here, but maybe not. Maybe it's just all laterals. Oops.
Okay, so section 4.1, the first one says authorized persons shall maliciously, willfully, or negligently uncover, make any connections with, or open to use, alter, repair, break, disturb, tamper with any municipal sewer or appurtenance thereof. And then 4.2 talks about discharge into a municipal sewer system and substantial change in volume and character of pollutants. Section 4.2a mentions person intending to connect the building lateral from his property.
Should be building drain. That should be building drain, right?
I don't think so. I mean, he's still got to connect his drain to the lateral.
No, but he's not
Right,
connected.
you're saying a person intending to connect a building drain from his property to the municipal sewer.
Well, he's not. He's connecting it to the lateral. So the term is house,
Yeah, so
drain, lateral.
But he's not connecting a building.
you could say building drain to the municipal sewer lateral.
Yes.
Okay, so starting in the title, do you want to go through the items first and then go back to the title?
Yeah, we could.
That might be beneficial? Okay. So, 4.1.
Can I just make, I know this may sound like we're going to have to rework a lot of things, but I mean, if we define, we're taught, I've never heard of a building drain. Usually everyone considers it a lateral from the house to the main, to the sewer main. That's a lateral.
Well,
and if
Steve,
we decided to, hold on.
We went through this already, and we thought we needed to define. So are you proposing we go back to the lateral and say it's a building lateral, and then define lateral from the house to the street? Is the ownership?
If you want to describe ownership that way, then all this other stuff falls out, and you don't have to edit it. But otherwise, you have to read every single thing again to make sure that what you're talking about is consistent with the definitions.
Yeah.
A person intending to connect a building lateral. There is no such thing as a building lateral. It's called a building drain now. And the lateral is from.
What are you proposing, Steve? That's the thing that I'm trying to get to. It sounds like an idea that's a good one to go back and undo what we did.
I'm asking perhaps we get rid of one of the definitions, the building drain definition, and just describe what a lateral is, and then say the homeowner's responsible from his house to the property line of the sewer lateral, and the WPCA is responsible from the property line to the sewer main of the sewer lateral. And it's all one pipe. There's no demarcation as far as the pipe is concerned, except for the fact that we're responsible for it from the main to the property limit, and the owner is responsible from the property limit to his house. I mean, other than that, it's the same pipe.
Steve, hold on. You might, other people, we don't need a vote, but you want to go back to that section, and does that sound like reasonable? I'm getting kind of shrugs and kind of...
I understand what he's saying.
Same here. So it's 2.3. We have building drain and 2.4 building sewer lateral. So
building drain then technically should be within the first 30 inches. And then 30 inches to the curb should be the lateral.
Which is maybe what the original intent was.
So that might be, and then, but under building sewer lateral, I guess that last sentence where it says the individual property owner, or used to say, individual property owner is responsible for lateral to the connection to the sewer, we just need to change that to is responsible to the property line.
Actually, it's all drain. Lateral is drain, and from house, 30 inches is drain also.
But we have to define it here, so I think the Steve's idea of maybe sticking with lateral and fixing this, that might prevent other edits.
Yeah, we can explain it in the policy what we call it. I mean.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to what's going on there.
Sorry, guys.
So the building sewer lateral means an extension from the building drain. So I got to get rid of drain. We had...
Okay, this might help. A drain is a pipe that serves only one building, conveying water and wastewater away from the...
That doesn't...
And outside the boundary of the building, connecting the drains to the other parts of the... So we are saying a lateral.
Yeah, that's a very important point based on Dimitri's research.
That's another subject that we're going to get to.
I understand that, but the definition of a lateral here is important based on Dimitri, having the lateral go from 30 inches outside the building to the sewer, then allows Dimitri's research to come into effect. If we call it a building drain, I don't know what that does to that research or the definition.
Research was.
So I don't know. I think Rob said, or Corey said, that the building drain should just be the horizontal pipe to 30 inches outside the interface of the building. That would be fine. And then the building sewer lateral would be from the end of that to the main. And then you just define, who's responsible for what.
Folks, we need to agree on the picture and then write that based on the picture, okay? Because it's not clear to everybody what it looks like. I mean, it's really a simple picture, just as in any engineering problem. First, you draw the picture, get the common mental picture, then we can write the words to match the picture.
So the picture should look, the 30 inches, the building drain is inside the house to 30 inches outside. The sewer lateral is from 30 inches outside to the sewer main, and then there should be a property delineation there, and the owner's responsibility is everything, the building drain and the sewer lateral to the property limit, and the WPCA is from the property limit to the main. The other way you could define the owner's responsibility is to define the responsibility of the WPCA and say the owner is responsible for everything outside of the WPCA.
We don't need another way. We need, let's just continue on this. So, section 2.3, building drain means part of the lowest horizontal pipe of the building's plumbing which receives the discharged soil, waste, and sanitary drainage pipes inside the walls of the building and conveys it to the building sewer lateral, beginning 30 inches outside the interface of the building wall. So that the drain is
Right,
from the house to 30
I would
inches.
say not beginning 30 inches, but up to 30 inches outside the interface of the wall.
So it says right now, beginning 30 inches outside the inner face of the building wall. So that to me is inside wall, 30 inches out. Few houses are 30 inches thick walls, especially in Old-Line. I wish mine was thicker, but... So, does it, now, reading that sentence, is there a change? Should it say something different?
I thought we got rid of the 30 inch.
We just had a conversation about this. No, we're not getting rid of 30 inches.
Should we hear what Dimitri's information?
Dimitri's information has nothing to do with this section.
Lateral boundary line connection to the sewer main.
This is lateral too.
Ending 30 inches outside.
Ending 30 inches outside the interface.
Connection.
Yeah.
So the building drain ends 30 inches outside.
Right, ends.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Everybody agrees on the picture.
That makes a lot more sense than beginning, but yes.
Okay. I think I got that down.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to read it again?
Sure.
We have to do it.
This is Rich is practicing how to read today. Section 2.3, building drain meets the part of the lowest horizontal piping of the building's plumbing which receives a discharge from solid waste and other sanitary drainage pipes inside the walls of the building and conveys it to the building sewer lateral, ending 30 inches outside the interface of the building wall. That sounds like what that's meaning is
That's good.
the drain stops 30 inches outside the building, more or less.
There you go.
The interface of the building wall. Yep.
Section 2.4, that's got to be cleaned up a bit. Let me see if I can figure this out.
Means the extension from the building drain to the connection point at the municipal sewer main. That's fine.
Hang on, this stupid change the language to Russian or something. Okay. Okay, so 2.4, I think, reads this, and bear with me, don't, 2.4, building sewer lateral means an extension from the building drain to the connecting point at the municipal sewer main. That's still the same. Period. Individual property owner is responsible for the lateral up to the connection to the sewer. I think we meant to say responsible for the lateral to the edge of the property, private property.
And we
To
could
the
make
property
it
limit, yes.
for the lateral from the building drain to the property. No?
So the individual property owner is responsible from the building drain.
Well, so responsible
their
for
property.
for the lateral from the building drain to the property line. Right?
I think I know what you mean, but I didn't hear it. Can you say it one more time?
So is responsible for the lateral from the building drain to the property line.
I think that works.
And then-
I'm going to read it.
and then-
read it again.
the WPCA is responsible for the lateral from the property line to the sewer main.
No, let's
I mean,
not overcomplicate it.
That's implied.
You don't necessarily need it.
The individual property owner is responsible for the lateral from the building drain to the property line. So I'm going to read the whole thing from the beginning, 2.4. Building sewer lateral means the extension of the building drain to the connecting point at the municipal sewer main. Individual property owner is responsible for the lateral from the building drain to the property line. Probably should say the individual, grammar-wise. Is there something wrong? Go ahead.
I'm just thinking. Should be responsible for the piping from the drain to the lateral. Because the homeowner
To the
owns,
property line.
the homeowner owns the drain, the sewer, the WPCA owns the lateral.
We own it to the property line.
Correct. So would be responsible for the piping from the drain to the sewer lateral at property line.
The individual property owner is responsible for the lateral from the building drain to the property line. So
For the piping from the drain to the lateral.
So what if we said the individual property?
Well, no. They're responsible for the whole thing. If they have an obstruction in that pipe, they're still responsible for it. So it's not just the piping; it's everything that piping entails. I think the wording's correct there.
Okay.
Right? I mean, they are responsible for the piping, for sure.
Well, it's.
But they're also responsible.
It doesn't use the word. It says the building lateral. So the first part of the sentence talks about the drain. The second part of the sentence talks about the ownership. 2.4 says building sewer lateral means an extension from the building drain to the connecting point at the municipal sewer. The individual property owner is responsible for the lateral, which includes the drain, from the building drain to the property line.
That's correct, yeah.
So, I think it's correct. Keeping a judgment on the time here, 8:37.
You're almost done.
We're not all done, but maybe it's past their bedtime. But I'm going back to section 4. Section 3, is there anything with that? There's nothing in section 3. Section 4 says, it used to say building sewer and connections. Now it says building sewer laterals and connections. And then section 4.1 says, there's no changes here, but I'll read it for context. No unauthorized person shall maliciously, willfully, or neglectfully uncover, make any connections with, or opening into, use, alter, repair, break, disturb, or tamper with any municipal sewer or appurtenance thereof. I mean, to me, that says you can't destroy the sewer.
Yeah, you can't touch it.
I don't think it. Could we get an issue with someone destroying their own sewer line? I don't really. They're already responsible for destroying their own property. Should I go through this or should I not? I mean, may I just go for the stuff that's edited?
Well, the stuff that's read seems to be okay.
Well, that's what was edited, so the track changes turns to...
Right.
You know that, I think. You kidding me or something? I'm not sure if that's a joke or not. So, section 4.2b has some edits. And I think it's clarifications. The B says, we added associated with sanitary sewer in 2 places. A connection to a municipal sewer will be made only after the building's plumbing associated with the sanitary sewer has been approved by the town building inspector in order to ensure minimum standards are met for the installation. A fresh air vent shall be required for the building, and all plumbing associated with the sanitary sewer shall be in good working order. It goes on to say stuff about trenches and such. And I believe this is part of the thing where we got public feedback to clarify who's responsible, where the town building inspector will go in and inspect everything. Well, he said no. Regarding to the sewer ordinance, he's only going to inspect sewer stuff. That's why that was added.
Well, some houses, I'm not saying all the houses, some of them have a, say, outside shower to the dry well. That happened in Point of Woods when I was hooking up to the sewer.
A lot of houses have that.
And there were houses that when a contractor gives the job like I did not check where the drainage going. I thought it's only to the septic tank. So I think it makes point to check it.
I think that's a different subject. So already an outside shower is technically illegal. Right? Because you're giving up the dry wells that are
They're
handling
not
it.
illegal if they drain to the septic.
If they drain to a septic system,
They're not illegal.
but they're not draining to septic systems. They're just a dry well is not a septic system.
Some people don't use soap when they come from the beach. They just wash out the sand from them.
Yeah.
They don't use the soap.
Yeah, I think that's an issue, but I think that's out of the scope of this.
Well, it's up to us what we're going to say.
Well, this is talking about the connection. I think generally speaking, we're talking about the connection of the toilets, not gray water. But
Toilets.
so the connection to the municipal sewer shall be made only after the plumbing building associated with the sanitary sewer has been approved by the town building inspector in order to ensure minimum standards are met for the installation. So it's talking about sewers and connecting it. I guess it's in the purview of the inspector if he said, where's all this drainage going? And if there's one connected to the sewer and one connected to something else, he might say, why is that? Where is that going?
Yeah.
And he may say, it's not done right. You got to connect that shower drain to the septic tank.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that particular one's okay. And like I said before, we're going to need edits, and I'm going to update the edits, or maybe Frank will, and we'll send it out to everybody, not for a discussion offline, but then we'll send it to legal, and we'll come up with other edits, and then we'll have this again. Painful as it is. So now in section C, we added just cause, and I think that this is a legal term to, do the appropriate amount. So I'm going to read it, and I'll point out where the word is. Section C, permits to connect to a municipal sewer may be revoked and annulled by the Old Line WPCA for just cause. The town of Old Line held harmless as consequences said, blah, 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 blah. Nothing else has changed. I think that's a good comment, and it tries to be balanced and fair. Any comments about that?
Yeah, that's a legal term to make sure there's due process before you can take away the license.
Right. Section 4.3, the words lateral to municipal sewer were added.
So I think that you should add as defined herein.
So are you talking in section 4.3, Steve, or 4.3?
Yes. No, 4.3. All costs and expenses incidental to the installation and connection of the building sewer lateral to the municipal sewer shall be. You have to put a definition because the lateral goes through the private property onto public land that we're responsible for. So it's not all costs. We're bringing the sewer lateral to the property limit. I mean, I guess they indirectly are paying for that, but there's no way of.
Okay, so
You know.
so let me read this sentence so it's context. Section 4.3, all costs and expenses incidental to the installation and connection of the building sewer lateral to the municipal sewer shall be borne by the owner's expense. And I think what you're saying, Steve, is we further define what part of it where it ends at the private property.
Correct. So you should say as defined herein or something like that.
Well,
But it's already defined, so because the definition already covered that, right? Because they're responsible for the land.
Yeah, well, you can't say all costs. No, we haven't defined. We've defined what their responsibility is, but the definition of the sewer lateral is from the building drain to the sewer main.
and they're responsible for all costs. It's somewhat duplicate to private property. So we could say all costs and expenses incidental to the installation and connection of the building sewer lateral to the private property interface of the municipal sewer shall be borne by the owners.
Yeah, that's good.
Because we're talking about
That's fine.
they owe the cost up to the property limit.
Yep.
I could put that in there for now, and maybe we can make it a little bit better.
Massage it.
What did I say? Connection of the building sewer lateral to the municipal sewer. I'm sorry? Do you have some better words?
You could say building sewer drain to the lateral at property line. At all costs and expenses incidental to the installation and connection of the building sewer drain to the lateral at the property line.
Well, it would be and. It would be building drain and lateral to the property limit,
Yeah, okay,
right?
correct.
So what I hear now is section 4.3, all costs and expenses incidental to the installation and connection of the building sewer drain and lateral at the property line, but I think that means to the property.
To the property line.
And then I have shall be borne by the owners. So I'll read it again.
Preston looks good.
All costs and expenses incidental to the installation and connection of the building sewer drain and lateral to the property line shall be borne by the owners.
Right? That's what we want to say, so I think that works.
The second sentence added the word lateral to the end, so I'm going to read that. Owner shall indemnify the town of line for any loss or damage that may directly or indirectly be occasioned by the installation of the building sewer lateral. So, we have laterals in next section too. Section 4.4. Building sewer laterals was added, whether located in private or public property, are owned by the owner.
Well, you got to get rid of public. You got to get rid of the public property part.
Do I?
I mean, it goes against our definition.
Building sewer laterals, whether located on private or public property, are owned by the owner of the premises served.
Yeah, get rid of public, because we changed, this is our
okay.
definition.
So I get rid of what?
Public,
Public.
yeah. Yeah, and the all too. Okay, you got it. Okay.
So, Frank, can you say that again?
Okay. Yeah, you got rid of the right thing. It's fine.
Okay, so,
Just too far away for me to read.
sorry, I'm trying to make it a little bigger. 4.3, building sewer laterals, whether located on private property, well, get rid of the whether. Building sewer laterals located on private property are owned by the owner of the premises served. The owner of the respective premises is responsible for the maintenance and repair of the building sewer lateral. The owner of the building sewer lateral shall keep such sewer in good repair in order not to cause excess infiltration or inflow of groundwater, damage to property, harm to the town sewers.
No, I think you still have to have public property in there. So I could argue with you. If there was a block and it was on public property.
The block and it's on public property, it's our responsibility.
Hold on, Steve. Can you elaborate?
So if you're saying that whether the building sewer lateral, whether located on private property, are owned by the owner and the premises served. Now, what if it's on public property? Now you're saying that it's our responsibility.
Correct.
I think that is what we're saying. The town owns the sewer part, and there is town public property in there that we would have to maintain. You know, like the parking lot or something.
I understand that, but what if it's on the public property from the curb line to the center of the road?
The town.
Right, then it's our responsibility.
The town would own that.
Not if there's a blockage though.
Sure it is.
So let's follow through. The property line, the private part gets a blockage, it's the owner's. That's agreed.
Right.
The part that's not on the private property, but it's not connected to the sewer main, there's a blockage there, we would own that. And that's what you're saying is...
Right, that's correct.
And this is because we're trying to tell the owner who's responsible for maintaining and not stuffing,
correct,
expandable
diapers down there or whatnot. So now if the blockage is between the curb and the sewer main, but that's because he put something in that line, how has that become our responsibility?
Because we own the pipe. I mean,
we don't own
the lateral. In general, there's bends in that section of pipe. There are bends that we've put in to make it more efficient. That when we come off a lateral from a main, we're going to figure out basically the height that should be, at least our engineers would, so that they're not digging down to the main depth. They're digging down to whatever they would need to. So there's going to be a bend or a chimney or whatever's there. They didn't put that pipe in. If it blocks there, if it went through their whole pipe, their whole 4-inch pipe to a 3-inch pipe in their house to a 4-inch pipe outside and get stuck in our portion, why should they pay for it? It's not in their pipe. I don't see how you could say they're not responsible for, installing it or anything else, and then say, but if it gets clogged, it's your responsibility. I guess you could say you're using it, you clogged it.
Hold on. So the original sentence said, 4.4, building sewer laterals, whether located on private or public property, are owned by the owner of the premises served. Does that mean private property owns private, public owns public?
Yeah, it should
No.
be like that.
Yeah.
It should.
It should be that.
Well, first off, what does the sentence mean? Second off, we can argue.
It means that they're responsible. That sentence means they're responsible for the lateral from their house to the main. That's what that means. The whole lateral.
I think
whether it's owned by the.
Should be public, now that I look at it, because it's saying the private person is responsible for their screw up, the public is responsible for their screw up.
Richard, let me explain one thing. The pipe goes from the house to the main line is much smaller than the main line.
Yeah.
So if diapers going through that small pipe, in the big pipe is going to flow. So it's not going to happen that would be a responsibility for the homeowner if main line is clogged. It cannot happen.
But I agree with you. I see that. So I go back to what this is setting up is you have to read the whole thing in context. Because it doesn't make sense if you just take a first sentence. Building sewer laterals, whether located on private or public property, are owned by the owner of the premises served. The owner of respective premises is responsible for the maintenance and repair of the building sewer lateral. The owner of the building sewer lateral shall keep such sewer in good repair, blah, blah, blah. So this tells me...
So, Richard...
The private, hold on, it tells me the private person is responsible for the private part, and the public is responsible for the public part.
Correct.
No,
No.
not at all.
It's saying
It's saying
here,
they're responsible from the house to the main.
No, it says the owner of respective premises is responsible for the maintenance and repair. So if you look at private and public are owned by the owner of the premises served. And then you do the set, so all the sentences together.
yes, it's saying whether located on private or public. You own it.
They own that whole lateral. That's what you're saying, and we've decided that's incorrect.
No, I agree
They
with
would
that.
not.
It says are owned by the owner of the premises served.
Right, so it's premises served is where it then gives ownership to the whole thing to the person that owns the property.
Right. Right.
WPCA
So
doesn't have-
if our pipe breaks, we're saying you have to fix it at your cost. If it's broken on our public land, for whatever reason, whether it's clogged or broken, they're responsible for the whole thing, and we've decided that that's not true. They're only responsible for the stuff on their private property.
So I agree with what you're saying. I'm just trying to get the words to match up with that.
Oh, so you could say whether, I mean, I would say,
Well, if we get rid of more
number one, I wouldn't say they're owned by the owner of the premises served. They could be, they're responsible. You could say whether located on private or public property are responsible by the owner. Responsible. The owner is responsible for the premises served. If you wanted to, but in reality,
well, if
it goes through the three.
If we get rid of the public,
right,
it fixes it. So we don't need to beat it to death. Building sewer laterals located on private property are owned by the owner of the premises served. The owner of the respective premises is responsible for the maintenance repair of the building sewer lateral. The owner of the building sewer lateral shall keep such sewer in good repair. So that's putting all responsibility of the private part on the private owner.
One thing
Correct.
I have to say that if main line located in the middle of the street and that TY that goes from the main line to the private property line, this is one pipe, the same pipe that goes from the house to the main line. So there is a part of the line located on a public property.
Yes. Yeah.
So this what I mean, it shows in this sentence that every house will have part of that line on a public property, because from main line located far away from the property line, it starts, the branch goes from the main line.
Are you saying that it says that the owner is responsible for the part of the lateral that's in the street that's public?
It might happen maybe once in the moonlight, I mean, but it can happen that owner abused something, say laundry went through the line.
Sure.
And a clogged entrance to the main line. Main line is working, but his house doesn't have a drain.
Well, in the real world, if he flushes his toilet and it doesn't work, we know the main's going to keep working. They're going to send a plumber out.
Usually,
they dig up and figure out where it is.
Usually, when they construction going from the main line to the property curb, that line is much larger than it requires from the house. I was connecting to Point of Woods, the line was
Right, it's usually 6 inches.
6 inches.
6
So
inches versus a 4-inch for house
Right.
lateral. So,
Yeah. Or 3 inches.
If we take out the public
I think we're good here, guys.
public property thing, I think is fine.
Okay.
And if it kind
Yeah.
of pushes,
So too.
it
So-
basically pushes responsibility on them for the pipe in the future, but it doesn't make them the owner.
The only thing that
But I think it's fine.
The only thing that is if they abuse it somehow and clog the line, and we end up saying they hire a plumber to come out and fix it, dig the line up, and they find that it's not in their private property, we get the bill.
Yeah, but it makes them responsible to deal with it, basically.
Well, they're going to deal with it. They're going to be motivated to deal with it.
Yeah.
Right,
But-
right. And I guess, and the likelihood of that happening, I mean, there is a chance, but it's, you're going from so the way the house, usually it's a 3-inch drain to a 4-inch drain outside, to a 6-inch that they hook into. So it gets larger, and then our 6-inch goes into probably a 12 or 10. So it gets larger the further away you get from the house. So to get something down a toilet that doesn't clog your house portion of it, that works its way into their lateral, that connects to a 6-inch, is it can happen, but the likelihood is very, very small that it's going to work its way through the smaller pipe and get clogged in the larger. I'm sorry?
Let's move on.
Okay. Sounds good.
Some of us have to get up in the morning and work, or maybe just me, I don't know.
Yeah.
The next one is something that's, I think, and if Dennis is still on, you're going to want to listen to this one. Section 4.5. A separate and independent building sewer lateral shall be provided for every building on a building lot except otherwise approved by the O-Line WPCA. So this is, I think, related to the research that Dimitri did.
Yes.
And I did some research so what Dimitri did is he found the International Plumbing Code 2018, but Connecticut is currently using 2015, but it's the same words.
It's the 2021 code.
It's 2021, but Connecticut's using 2015, but it's the same words for the applicable section. And what it says is, I got the wrong one.
A double negative.
So the 2021, the 2015, section 701.3, separate sewer connection, a building having plumbing fixtures installed and intended for human habitation, occupancy, or use on premises abutting a street, alleyway, or easement in which there is a public sewer shall have a separate connection with the sewer. Where location on the same lot, multiple buildings shall not be prohibited from connecting to a common building sewer that connects to a building sewer. So that's saying that you can have multiple buildings on the same lot connected to a sewer. I then went to the Department of Health ledge light, and I got what's her name? Wendy Brown, but trying to see what her title is. So supervisor of land use activities. Thank you, Frank. Basically, Wendy said it's not our jurisdiction. That's the short story. I'm not going to read all of it. So she said if it was connecting to a septic system, it would be their jurisdiction and they would have to give approval, but since it is a sewer line, they don't. So this section, we're not going to have that requirement of having separate lines for multiple buildings on the same lot. Right now, I don't know if it says that. The separate and independent building sewer lateral shall be provided for every building on a building lot except otherwise approved by the O-Line WPCA.
Right.
The research I saw gave an example of lots or houses that had no way to get to the direct route to the sewer main because there was a house in their way. So they had, let's say, a 100-foot deep lot, 40-foot wide, and they had one house in front of another house. So they had the sewer line go from the back house through the first house to the street. The issue is, well, I think that's kind of the issue why you do that. And it's because otherwise you'd have to have the pipe take a bunch of different directions. So I don't know if we need to change.
But we can. I think this is a good. I think this is a good addition. It allows the WPCA to review on a case-by-case basis whether we feel it's beneficial for everyone to have one line or whatever going through.
Now, that also changes our EDU assessment, I think, which not much. So instead of 2 buildings...
They change the connection, I think.
It changes the connection fee, reduces the connection fee, and if 2
may not
small
change the
buildings...
EDU, though.
Well, if 2 small buildings have they have a minimum charge, let's say 200 square foot buildings, they $15,000 for each. But if they do 200 square buildings that are connected by one, that would be 400, and then there would be $115,000. That's an extreme example. The typical example is 800, 800. So they end up saving a little bit on the connection fee, saving a little bit on the livable square foot. And as long as the Department of Health doesn't object, I don't object.
On a connection fee.
Right, I don't think we should be talking about EDUs on this, Rich. That's a...
Well, Steve, you look at all variables when you do something. Hang on, Steve. Dimitri was going to... Hang on, Steve. Dimitri wanted to say something.
On a connection fees, there is additional work should be provided. If 2 houses connected to one main line, you have to provide connection between those 2 houses.
Yes. Yes.
So there is additional work should be done.
Yeah, but not for us, Dimitri. That's on private property.
I understand. That should be, most likely, should be homeowner paying for that.
Well, yeah, the homeowner would own the private property.
But it should be provided in design and approved by WPCA, how it's done. Because contractor, there should be part of the design of the system.
Right,
yeah,
that's why we have to approve it.
Correct.
I don't know how deep we would go into the design. We care about the pipe getting to the sewer connection.
Yeah, the ordinance.
Yeah, but we have to approve. Rich, the idea is that we still have to approve it. If they're saying we're going to hook up 3 houses with a 4-inch line going into our sewer, we would say, well, you know, in reality, as you're increasing flow from 3 different areas, you would have to increase the diameter of your pipe, for instance. So it's a review process on us that we get to review it and approve it, which is a good idea. We're not saying you can't do it. It's just that
so we have that in there already. So we have that words in there.
I think it's good.
So believe it or not, we're coming to the end of this, but I'm running out of my own steam, and I'm looking at what's left. I'm going to try and push through. No one's given me the dagger look yet.
I think it's important to do, and I think there's a difference in collaborating and reviewing this than reviewing it yourself. So if you said, all right, okay, thank you.
4.6, the building sewer, the word laterals was added. Building sewer laterals existing on the effective date of the ordinance. These regulations may be used in connection with the new buildings only when they are found on examination and test by the Old WPCA to meet all requirements of the ordinance and the town's ordinances. So
yeah, I think
Okay,
I think
so-
you can get rid of that whole. I think you can get rid of all of 4.6. There are no existing building sewer laterals as defined by the definition that we defined it.
Well, that's
There's no,
not.
we have no sewer, so there's no lateral.
No, it says building sewer laterals existing on the effective date of this ordinance. These regulations.
we have none.
EU connection. Okay, so there's no sewers.
So there's no sewer lateral.
This ordinance is gonna go into effect before the sewers come in.
And is this language that came from the state, essentially, that it's something that they needed to be in here? And that's really, it's kind of meaningless, but,
It's meaningless, but it doesn't hurt, so just keep it in.
yeah.
Well, it kind of sets the point when
Okay, let's not try to re-engineer this, let's try to get through it.
All right.
Section 4.7, added lateral 2, says the size, slope, alignment, and materials of construction of the building sewer lateral. That's where it added that word. And then methods to be used in excavation, placing of pipe, jointing, testing, and backfilling the trench and the connection of the building sewer lateral to the municipal sewer shall conform to the requirements. So, it's just adding lateral to everything where there's sewer, which I think is just a clarification, but I'm going to skip the rest of this and go down to... So, Frank, this is a note, and I think there was a complaint about...
This is about location of wells. So
Yeah, and you part of a note saying it's Connecticut General Statutes and Connecticut Department of Health, so it's not something we can, say
what
we
I'm-
can't do.
Yeah, what I'm pointing out is that there's been some talk about you can retain your wells within 25 feet. Well, this actually contradicts that. 411 is strictly in accordance with the Connecticut General Statute. So whatever they heard from Fresno New Engineer is incorrect.
they said it here in a meeting.
Yeah.
I was at the meeting.
Yeah.
So what Frank is saying is another engineering firm said at the Miami Beach Association meeting, you don't have to give up your wells. And that might be true in some contexts, but it's not true in this. And this is a Connecticut General Statutes that says you can't. We have email and documentation from Department of Health that says you have to do this. Unless the state of Connecticut Department of Environmental and Energy Protection specifically rules against it, which is a long shot, they will be ruling against an existing law.
Yeah. So that's not a change. It's just a confirmation that our well abandonment letter is correct according to the law. So there's been quite a lot of misinformation about you can keep your well within 25 feet. So whoever said that actually put out some very bad information because it doesn't have a minimum distance. It's just
Right.
Yeah.
I was here at that meeting.
Yeah, that was really bad information because now you can argue that my well is within 2 inches of the line. So yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely stated.
Anyway.
So I'm going to move on, and obviously this is not a final document, but in section 5.4a, there was a mention about sewage having temperature higher than 150, and there was a public comment about, well, the FDA says 160, and Frank did a little research and basically saying when it exits the building, it's unlikely that it's going to be violating that a dishwasher requirement temperature is going to violating the exit temperature.
Yeah, but the 160 is for you to clean the dishes. It's a sanitary requirement.
Right.
Right. So we're not changing it. So I think
we don't even. I don't even know how you monitor that, but
yeah.
Hot water. Can't have hot water.
Section 6.0, protection from damage. authorized person shall maliciously, willfully, or negligently break, damage, destroy, uncover, deface, or tamper any structure, appurtenance, or equipment which is a part of the sewage system. And Frank just explained on a notes here, in Connecticut, convicted of felony for committing first-degree criminal mischief. Examples include property damage over $1,500, and he also had other examples too. So there's no requested change in that, but it's responsible to a public comment saying we're going to be in trouble if we damage the sewage system, and yes, you are, just like any other vandalism or destroying public property. So I think we're done with this.
Yes, the hearing board, I think you put some.
Oh yeah, the hearing board, thank you. Section 10, we changed it to appeal from hearing board. And I'll read the whole thing because the town has language already for setting of appeal, and we're not going to violate the town's existing plans. We'll just borrow and use it. An appeals process, which is a new word, deleted hearing board, for the arbitration of differences between Old Lyme WPCA and municipal sewer users on the matters concerning interpretation and execution of the provisions of this ordinance by the Old Lyme WPCA. As described this is all new language, as described in the town's chapter 133.8, sections E and F, the town specifically adopts the provisions of the Connecticut General Statute, section 7-152C, for the establishment of the appeal and citation hearing process for considering all appeals under this ordinance. The cost of arbitration will be divided equally between the town of Old Lyme and the sewer user. So we use the town's words and what they do for appeals process for all boards, which I think is appropriate. Does anyone have any comment about what was added or edited, or need me to repeat it? Okay, I'm not hearing some, and I appreciate that. The cost of arbitration will be divided equally between the town of Old Lyme and the sewer user. So I think that's appropriate, consistent with the town. That happens. The town would have to defend themselves if they got accused, so I think we leave that as is. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay, that's it. Hit save. I will, so here for a discussion. I don't think we're nowhere near a motion that's saying that we're done with this. So, but I think the next process step is I'll send it to legal and we'll review it again. Unless someone has a discussion or a suggestion, I'm willing to listen. Anyone? Okay.
You're sending this out to us for a final read too, right?
I'll send that copy to you, but then I'm sending it to legal, which will probably bring more edits. And that copy, with legal's edits or suggestions or issues, if I can resolve some of the things, like, legal sometimes doesn't understand what we're doing, I will send you a updated copy with additional edits that will review in committee for the express purpose of then proposing selectmen put forth to adopt the ordinance. So you will review it again. Hopefully it won't be painful. I can't promise anything. Okay. Moving on to correspondence. There's something on correspondence to bring up that was not on here. So I'm going to go through what was on here. I'm getting invited to my Asia meetings. Sorry. We already talked about Ledgelight clarified that multiple buildings connecting to one sewer pipe is not in their scope. There was a correspondence with the Soundview Coalition, speaking directly to DEEP and saying that they have not, we have not answered their questions. They appreciated the DEEP answering their questions, and DEEP pointed them to the environmental impact evaluation, which is on our website, to answer the questions. I also confirmed with the DEEP that we're continuing on as managing the sewer project, and they said yes. East Lyme IMA, already give that update, but it has the correspondence of the engineer saying, I'll get it to you. We had freedom of request information for the private beach association contract with a lobbyist, and we don't have that contract, and we are not a party to that specific contract, although we will likely benefit because that lobbyist is trying to get money for the project. What's not on the correspondence, and I apologize for this, one is an oversight. We had a resident in Hawks Nest notify me that one of the test wells, I believe it was well 11, was damaged. This is the second time it's damaged, and I'm going to describe a little. It's a well in an area where cars could park. It was closed off with, I'm not sure if I use the right words, closed off to be at the same grade level as the pavement and broken. This is the second time. I asked Dimitri to take a look at it. If Dimitri, can you describe, and he repaired it, can you describe what you saw in the repair? Can you put your microphone on, please?
Okay. Yeah, I think I did it a couple years ago, correct?
Yeah, you did a couple years ago. And first off, thank you for doing this. This is above and beyond. Let's see before and after.
It's, my guess, it gets damaged when they plow snow, because snow plow just touching the paving, and when they did this well, they did it on a asphalt area where cars are driving. So, and that well, they ended with a pipe that flush with the paving. So the cover cannot be just a little bit lower than paving. So when they broke original cup, then I made the cup for that reason, from plastic, from PVC. And this cup I made was flush with paving, but when it scratches, it just takes the cup. It was cracked. Today I went and I got galvanized 24 gauges cover, and I put nails in it, 8 nails around it. So that should be much stronger than yours I put. That well has water coming when it's raining, because seeps into that. I think if all these tests already were used for this well, I don't think we need it anymore. But in case they want to verify it again, that well can be cleaned and tested again.
Right. So
I'm not sure what we should do, because we don't have these results exposed, and I do not know what we should go for.
So, if I can summarize, second time broken, you said maybe snowplow. I don't know if a snowplow broke it, because this definitely broke when there wasn't any snow the second time.
Somebody did it on purpose, could they, too?
It could be somebody did it on purpose. It is a risk, because as floodwaters flood, water goes down a well, and that is a source of pollution, and we don't want to contribute to pollution. So we keep repairing it, which, thank you, Dimitri, for repairing it twice, and volunteering your services and expertise. Maybe we consider, spending some money and capping it off, which maybe the way the proper, I don't know the proper way to do that. Maybe it's you fill in the well and it's done, and then you drill a new well. That's like $1,500 the last time we had it done. I don't know what the price tag is now with the crazy world we live in. Or there's a way to cap it, but we've capped it already, and that's what's broke, is the cap. So open discussion. What do you guys think we should do? Anyone? Dimitri, did you have more to say? You look like you were going to say something.
No, I think it took me like 1 hour to do it, so this is not a big deal. And if it breaks again, I can put a cover again. It's not a big deal, but we have to leave it alone, I guess, for now.
For now, I think it's okay. I'm just wondering, our choices are keep an eye on it and repair it if it breaks, or maybe up the game and fill it in.
When I was working today, a lady from number 94 came to me and asked me what I was doing, and I explained to her the thing. She said that she thought that first time repair was done by the owner of the garage that located next to this wall. There are a couple garages.
I'm sure you told her who did it the first time. Yes?
No, she asked me who did it. I said it was me.
Yeah, repaired it.
She asked me who I was, and I told her that I was a member of WPCA, and this is what we're trying to protect it. That's what I cannot say what we should do.
Okay. Does anyone have an opinion?
Where is it located?
It's West End Drive, toward the end, on the inland side in someone's paved area, on the edge of two properties, right in the middle of the property line.
I would consider
Rich,
abandoning it and be done with it.
I think properly abandoning it is not a bad idea too. Steve, were you going to say something?
yeah, that's going to cost you $700 to abandon it.
Well,
but I mean, we're not going to use it again, right? So, I mean, if it happens again, instead of fixing it, abandon it.
Well, and so the concern of if we were to use it again is it's been compromised, so the stuff is getting into it from above, and somebody could say it's not an accurate representation.
Yeah, we're not going to use it again.
Right.
So if it happens again, abandon it.
Can we abandon it ourselves? We can send.
No, you need a license. Do you have a well driller's license?
I have P1.
You need a well driller's license to abandon a well. All you do is throw concrete down it.
We're going to do it right. We're going to do it right, but we appreciate that.
The guy in town that I think did them before, Cummins Geotech, I mean, he could do it, and it may charge us a few $100 or something, but he could do it.
So how about someone make a motion of not to exceed amount, and hopefully that'll happen. If not, if the quote, is tired, then I'll come back to committee. We have enough money for this kind of thing in our budget. We plan for.
So, Rich, what's the motion that you want to do? Is just to send someone out there to abandon it, regardless of if it's damaged now or not? Just
to close.
All right, I'll make that motion. I make a motion to abandon the well. To hire someone to abandon the well as long as it's under $1,000.
What was the amount of money, Steve? Just so
under 1,000.
Under 1,000. Okay. Seconded?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Oh.
Steve, how do you vote?
Aye.
Does anyone abstain? Does anyone vote nay? The motion carried. Let me just write a note. Okay, now we're moving into new business. Any new business? Now we're into public comment. So is there anyone online that would make a public comment? If you could say something and say your name, we'll recognize you.
Dennis Maluzzo.
Dennis Maluzzo, you're recognized. Go ahead, Dennis.
Hi, I'd like to thank the issue of multiple houses and single lots with a single pipe is potentially fixed now. One of our neighbors will be greatly appreciated, seeing as his houses are smaller than a tool shed. So thank you for clearing that up through investigation. This is off the beaten track, and I'm not certain if Jennifer was on vacation last week or anything, but I had sent in an email asking for when you look at Carmody, what's the difference of maintenance and what's it mean and pumping? I know what pumping means when you pump out a septic system. What is maintenance? Does anybody have an answer to that? So I can get it straight in my head as to what all the terminology is used, because it only appears on Carmody. So if somebody could answer that. Other than that, I got nothing today.
Okay. Any other public comment? If you can state your name, and we'll recognize you.
Hi, this is Mary Daly. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mary, you're recognized.
Thank you. So I have in front of me a document labeled the Town of Old Lyme Water Pollution Authority Groundwater Quality Data, June 98 to June 2012, HOXUS 2. The nitrogen ammonia, I'd be glad to share that with you if you like. The nitrogen ammonia numbers back then for those years collected seem to be a bit high in total conflict with acceptable numbers, and the raw data posted on the Old Lyme WPCA website for 2018 testing at Hawks Nest seem to be much, much better. Even to a novice like me, it appears that things have considerably changed since 1998, 24 years ago when this first started. The WPCA should really, therefore, for a host of legal reasons, to say the least, pursue getting the recent data analyzed by an expert of their choice, or accept the expert opinion that was already provided to them in regard to Hawks Nest. We believe that since 1998 or 2012, 10 to 24 years ago, things have also changed at Soundview, and for the better, just as they have demonstratively changed at Hawks Nest. And we question why the WPCA refuses to either retest at Soundview now or to even validate at the least, Hawks Nest testing. On the subject of test data, I could not find on the WPCA website test data for Hawks Nest, which was not exceeded, for Hawks Nest, for White Sands, which was not exceeded until 2015, or for Area B. And so if you have that data, please direct me to where I might find that. In regard to potential grant money, the $14 million, if Old Lyme is still considered 29.75% of the total equation, why is it that only $2 million of that $14 million request would be geared toward Old Lyme? That's not 29.75. $4 million would be more appropriate. So I'm wondering why, or who did the math on that one. And along that same view, there really has been no building development in Soundview Area B. Not at all, really. But at Old Colony, building is booming, and that deserves reconsideration. I would think that when determining what portion of this project truly is the responsibility of the town of Old Lyme, if this does move forward, and those percentages might or should be recalculated. And finally, at the last WPCA meeting, when I referred to the $70K price tag that the private beach associations are now publicly estimating or suggesting, and suggested that Soundview might be also at that price point, since according to Mr. Chang's last published estimates, the majority of Soundview Area B properties were already between $40,000 and $48,000 at a $7.4 million price point. I heard you say that Soundview was not at that $70K price point. So without additional funding, given the current bids, what does the WPCA currently estimate that the majority of owners who had been at 40 to 48,000 before would be at today if this project goes forward in accordance with the proposed sewer ordinance. What's the cost to the majority of the homeowners based on the information you have today? Have you determined the cost-benefit percentage? Okay. The only other question I have is if you have when you talk about granting exceptions on a case-by-basis in regard to, the smaller houses, et cetera, just wondering what your qualifications are to make those judgments or those individual decisions if they're not in the bylaws specifically. Okay, that's it for me for tonight. Thank you for listening to me.
Well, thank you. Any other public comment? If you state your name, you'll be recognized. Okay, going to close the public comment. So this is a process. We're told one thing, we told something else, and we research it and try to figure out the best answer, and we're going to continue to try and do that. Number of questions asked in the public comment. I don't know if I can do it justice on going line by line. If you ask a question through the town email, and Jennifer, I'm looking at you, and I know you're checked to see if there's emails. I don't think, the indication is we didn't get it. From Dennis.
I sent it through the email, the WPCA at, it's in italics on the WPCA website.
I'll double check tomorrow, Dennis, but maybe it got put into spam, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, so she's going to double check.
Not a problem, not an issue. Just wanted to have a question answered, that's all.
Yeah, we answer all the questions that are sent by the email, and we do get emails all the time, so we know it's working. Anyways, the groundwater test results and retesting those, we always take a look at these type of things, but the Soundview area, we have an administration order to sewer. Retesting it would be a waste of money because it won't change the results from the state. We are going down a path of trying to get funding, and that funding should be make it economically feasible. If not, we will approach the state and say it's not economically feasible, and we'll see what the state says. They may say, tough, you have to fund it, and we'll say we can't, and we do the steps to say we've demonstrated legally that we've tried everything. And then if they try to sue us, we have that as a defense. But going back and testing the results, I don't see how the test results are going to get better. I'll tell you that the test results, the number of people using Soundview has not diminished. So I don't have much confidence in spending the money and doing the test results will somehow improve the results. The Hawks Nest test results that are out there, they show high ammonia levels, and discussions with the private beach associations, feedback they've gotten, and specifically the discussions I had from the state is it's proven that they have pollution, groundwater pollution. We have separated that project because we're hailing this project. That's still our strategy. But the state could also demand or edict us, like they did the other areas, to put the sewers in. And as far as the Soundview, there was a moment at this meeting room in this hall when we asked who decides this, and the Deep said, the Dennis Greasy, and it's in the records, I decide. You have a community problem. We also have this letter from Dr. Seekent, who is then current public health director, that issued a public nuisance based on data he was given. There's a problem with that because that's legally an issue for the town to resolve. It's not something you can ignore as much as we'd like to. About the $14 million and the 29%, I don't think your math is right. If we get $14 million and it comes to the beach associations and the town hall line, we get 29.7%. I don't know who's saying what money we're going to get. I know the beach associations have said how much money they need. That doesn't mean that's how much they get. And as far as the $70,000 per household, Old Lyme Shores and Miami are the most expensive. Old Colony and Soundview are very comparable. Our website still says $7.44 million divided by livable square foot, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the average is around $32,000 per house for the average house. Now, if you have a small house, a large house, it differs.
No, if you look at Mr. Chang's latest revision, the average is more to 40,000.
I think the maximum is 48,000, but I think the website, it hasn't changed. So it's the only thing that's changed is the groupings. At one point we had it from a minimum to maximum, and then we put it into groupings, and we did all this based on feedback we got from the public. I'll say it was loud feedback, but I don't know if it was volume feedback. So it's the benefit assessments haven't been finalized yet because we haven't finalized the cost. If we get the $14 million and we get our share, I can see that number cutting in half, maybe even less than half. That would make it economically feasible, and it'd be great if we could do it. If we don't get the money, one of the issues is the other beach associations feel it's too expensive. So if they don't go forward, then it drives our costs up. If it drives our costs up, then it's not economically feasible, and that's how we'll approach the state. So I said a lot. Does any of the WPCA members want to comment further?
No.
Okay. A motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Andrea, second it. Corey, second it. He got his hand up first. All those in favor say aye. Steve, did you say aye?
Aye.
Okay. Motion accepted. Meeting over. Have a good night.